Hi folks, Beardychiel here. I'm sitting working on the reknit of the Hooded Bat Shawl in Aran, and as I was looking at the pattern I suddenly realised that there may be some people who pick up this pattern who have never worked German short rows before. So I've stuck a baker's dozen worth of stitches and some scrap yarn onto a needle here, and I'm going to show you exactly how the system works. So we're going to have a nice simple knit across to where our German short row turn needs to happen, and the first one is if we were creating the hood on the the hood on the Hooded Bat Shawl is nice and simple. Excuse me, well, I'll just have a quick look at the pattern. Yeah. So the first time we see a German short row is at the start of a right side row, so let's get set up for that now. So we're working the end of a wrong side row, heading for the first right side German short row. Yeah, I've just made myself do an extra 13 stitches for nothing, but that's okay. So here we go. And this is the stitch that we're going to turn. So we turn our work with the yarn in front, we slip the stitch purlwise, pull sharply up on the yarn down at the back and knit the next stitch, and you'll see that it's created a double stitch. That's what we want to see. So we work our pattern until we get to the end of the row and our next German short row decrease. And it'll be happening to the last stitch in this row. We work it as normal, and when we turn, the German short row stitch is created at the start of the next row. Again, yarn in front, slip purlwise, pull sharply over, yarn back to the front again because I'm going to purl away from it, and I can purl back to my first stitch quite happily. Now I'm going to make a mini hood here. I've only got 13 stitches, so it's not going to take an awful long time. As I work back towards my first German short row stitch, you can see the double stitch there and a single stitch beside it, so I'm going to work that single stitch. I'm not going to touch the double stitch, I'm going to turn the work. And again, yarn in front, slip purlwise, pull up and over, and then just continue with the pattern. It's knit in this case, so I'm going to knit until I hit the German short row double stitch at the other end that I created. And here we go, it's coming up now. So there's the double stitch, and there's the stitch immediately before it, which is where the next turn is going to happen. Ignore the double stitch, turn the work with the yarn in front, slip purlwise, pull up and over, yarn back to the front because we're going to purl away from it on this side, and purl again. Now we're getting back to our German short row double stitches. There are two of them. Let's work the stitch immediately before it. Oh, I've let the tension get a little bit tight there. That was silly, but it's only a demonstration, so that's okay. Turn it. There are the 2 stitches we've already made. And let's go through that little mantra again. Yarn to the front of the work, slip purlwise, tug up and over, and work the next stitch. And continue in your pattern. And when we get to the other side, we ignore the double stitches, go to where our next turn's going to happen, yarn in front, slip purlwise, pull up and over, and because we're on the wrong side we're purling away. I mean, you can continue in whatever the pattern demands of you. If the pattern's asking you to work a rib and it says purl 1, knit 1, then you purl 1, knit 1. If it says knit 1, purl 1, you knit 1, purl 1. Whatever is required by your pattern at that point in time. So there we are, we're back to the 3. And let's create a 4th on this side. Woohoo. Up and over. Remember, yarn was in front. And there's 3. We're going to create a 4th one here. Now this is where it's unusual, because we're going to decrease at this end and we're going to increase at the other end, and this happens in row 48 of the hood pattern. So there we go, German short row decrease, because we're creating that slip stitch, and we're going to work our way along to the other side. Until we get to, there are 4 double stitches, so go all the way up to them, and then we're going to treat these 2 stitches as if they were 1 stitch. So I'm going to go through the double loop and I'm going to purl that double loop, and then I'm going to turn my work. Now I am going to slip that purlwise, and I'm going to leave the work behind it because I don't want an extra bar appearing across that, and I'm not going to work that stitch. I'm going to slip it and I'm just going to knit away from it. And when I get to the first double stitch at this side, I'm going to treat the 2 stitches, the 2 bars, as if they're a single stitch, knit through the centre, turn my work. I'm going to slip that stitch purlwise, and I'm going to purl across. Nice and simple, until I get back to my short row double stitches. Here they are again. So there we go, we're going to go in there, work the 2 bars, work the double stitch as if it was a single stitch. We're going to turn, we're not going to work it, we're going to slip it purlwise, and then knit the stitches, the rest of the stitches that are there, and we will be working quite happily along till we hit those double stitches again. There they are. So let's take those 2 as if they were a single knit stitch and knit them. Turn the work, and again we're going to slip that first stitch, and then we can purl the remainder of the stitches until we get back to our German short row double stitch at the other end. Oh, sorry, split the yarn there. And we're almost there. There's our 2 stitches, so we're going to take the double stitch and we're going to work it, turn the work, and again we're going to slip it purlwise. We're not going to work it the first time, and knit quite happily across. Now I like this technique because it's nice and easy to learn. It's nice and quick to apply. Double stitch, treat it as a knit stitch, as if we're knitting two together. Turn, slip it the first time, and purl the rest of the stitches. Now I'm doing this with some spare 4-ply or fingering weight yarn that was sitting, just for the sake of the demonstration, and I'm happy with that. When you're doing this with the yarn or chunky in the pattern, oh, it seems to go quite quickly. We're on the last one on this side, so again, treating the two as one, we're going to purl them together. First time here, we are not going to work it, we're going to slip it purl wise, and we're going to knit to the end of the row. And we've got one more German short row stitch to pick up. This little tutorial is taking longer than I anticipated, but then I'm knitting slightly more than I planned originally. There's the last one. Knit the two together,